Go on, say the N word. Go on.
No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term.
Piers Morgan stunned the entire panel live on the Piers Morgan Uncensored YouTube channel when he asked Lilly Gaddis to say this one specific thing. And let me tell you, when Piers Morgan asked her to say this, the entire panel just went absolutely nuclear, but as they should. Let's get into this clip here where Piers Morgan made the entire panel go nuclear when he asked Lilly Gaddis to say this one thing live on the Piers Morgan Uncensored YouTube channel.
Let's go back to the panel there. I mean, Ricky, it seemed to me a lot of inconsistencies in Mr. Wells's position, not least the donning of the Christian hat when it suits them, but then removing it when it doesn't.
You know, I think it's definitely tough to make the call here and there and where to censor. I err on the side of not censoring as much as possible, but I agree with you that the selectivity of having issues with abortion but not with these campaigns is certainly a problem. But I also want to go back to our point before too and make the point that I hate this argument that because some people were tribal, we should be tribal too. And shouldn't we want to live in a society where we say tribalism is bad in general and negative in general, and so therefore we should be erring towards individualism and not fighting tribalism with more tribalism? I think that's a net negative.
I agree. Myron, your last words on this.
Okay. Because I never got to respond to Myron's other.
The thing with tribalism, it's a natural human instinct. Like, we are literally designed to want to be in communities and want to be a part of a set of community because it ensures our survival. It's been that way since the beginning of time. So the thing is that people are typically going to align with people that share similar features, and that's why we have the tribalism we have going on right now. So the problem is it's not going to go anywhere. I think the problem is that we've had this penting up for literally decades, and this has been a response to it. You have people that are coming out and supporting someone who you guys might deem as a terrible racist, but I think it's also very important to understand how we got here, because if we're going to look at the smaller problem, we can't look at the bigger problem. And it's what I said before, unchecked systemic.
All right, Mark Lamont Hill, your last words on this.
This repeated use of the word, I think, first of all, I want to just register that as offensive, particularly as someone who doesn't identify as a member of that community and who is not, right? I think that's incredibly
I'm the definition of African-American. I'm the definition of African-American.
And troublesome. And as a Sudanese American or an outsider, who's using African-American, the very technical term, the same way that Elon Musk is an African-American, I think it is a bit disingenuous. But the bigger issue here, I think, is that, you know, this idea of equating of one side to the other side often loses track of this issue of power. To use his example, when Black people stand up.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure to go ahead and like the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe to the channel. It would help me out a lot. Let's get back to the video.
And say, hey, let's build our own stuff. Hey, let's have a Black power movement. That is not the same as a white power. I'll let you speak uninterrupted. Let me finish, please. My Sudanese brother. So when a Black person says, hey, let's preserve our culture, I have no problem with Italians or Irish people or anyone else saying let's preserve our culture. But when we don't talk about ethnicity, but actual race, and when white people say let's preserve whiteness, it's an exclusionary practice. It's about preserving laws and practices and tactics that do harm to other people. A Black power movement was about opening stores and building businesses. A white power movement was a white power. That's the giga. A white power movement was about something very, 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 very different. A white power movement included lynchings and included Ku Klux Klan, etc. So let's not pretend that these are opposite sides of the same coin. When white people say, let's save our country, and even using the language of our country, when Black people built this thing, when you say that, you're talking about forcing people out of the country. You're talking about laws that discriminate. You're talking about doing harm to people. Let's not pretend these are the same thing, just like these GoFundMe campaigns are not the same thing. I'm okay if everybody gets out of the GoFundMe industrial complex. I'd love that. But let's not pretend that supporting someone for a fair trial is the same thing as supporting a grown white woman berating and calling the N-word to a 5-year-old autistic Black child. And the fact that everyone in here can't be unanimous in condemning that says exactly how they're not the same.
I totally agree. I'm going to go to Lilly Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
I don't really really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power and you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed. And people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, Black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
M.
not have
Go on,
free
say.
speech.
Go on, say the M word. Go on.
No.
hang
Don't
on.
invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and asking her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do. But we already know she's racist. And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much.
So I would say in this clip from Piers Morgan Uncensored, it sparked a lot of reaction from the panel. And for a good reason. What started off as a heated conversation about race, cancel culture, and freedom of speech quickly turned into one of the most intense and uncomfortable moments that this show has probably ever seen. Piers had a panel of guests discussing a controversial incident, one that involved a white girl using the N-word in reference to a Black child. The debate focused on whether someone should be canceled for saying something offensive and where the line is between free speech and hate speech. As expected, there were passionate disagreements. One of the guests, Lilly Gaddis, made it very clear that she didn't care what anyone thought about her. She said she believes in free speech, not just say the easy stuff, but the right to say offensive things too. Her position was if you can't say the worst words, the freedom of speech doesn't exist. And she doubled it down on that point multiple times during this whole debate. And I just absolutely disagree with that. I don't agree with what Lilly said at all. But the moment where everything really exploded came from Piers Morgan directly when he asked Lilly to say the N-word on air in front of the whole entire panel. And just you got Black guests in there as well too. That question stopped everybody in their tracks. Immediately, voices on the panel pushed back. One panelist said absolutely not and made it clear that this wasn't just a TV stunt. This was personal. He said he was the only Black person on the panel and had to ask someone to use that word in front of him wasn't just uncomfortable, it was offensive, which I think that's very offensive to him. Absolutely. Let me know what you guys think about in the comments. He compared it to asking someone to use a Jewish slur in front of a Jewish person for ratings. At that point, the tension hit an absolute breaking point. You could feel the shift in the room. What was supposed to be a debate about speech became a very real and raw moment about harm, power, and respect. Piers, to his credit, backed off. He said he understood and that they'd leave it there. But the damage was already done and the moment had just already gone viral. And here's what made it all the more complicated. Lilly never backed down. She stood by what she said, insisting that free speech has to include the bad stuff or it means nothing at all. But the panel was very clear there's a difference between saying what you support, free speech, and using it to inflict pain in someone on real time. And I think the final takeaway from this episode wasn't just about cancel culture or politics or even race. It was about how far we're willing to go and defend our principles and whether we actually understand the consequences of the use of words we use. Piers Morgan crossed a line, and even unintentionally, by putting someone in a position where racial harm could be inflicted on another guest for the sake of a point. And that's the moment that won't be forgotten anytime soon. Let me know what you guys think about this topic in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.